So, welcome to our course Photochemistry. Under this heading, we will discuss about Norris type 1 reaction and examples. My name is Dr. Zulfikar Ali Khan and let's start our lecture. So, welcome to our course. So, as we are discussing about photochemistry, so in photochemistry, this is Norris type 1 reaction, which is a photochemical reaction. So, Norris type 1 reaction is the conversion of aldehyde and ketone through alpha cleavage. It's give fragments, and then these fragments are converted into stable products. So in the Norris type 1 reaction, aldehyde or ketone in S0 or ground state, it absorbs the radiation. So this, after absorption of the radiation, the aldehyde or ketone is converted into S1 or first singlet of excited state. So after the conversion into singlet excited state, they undergo alpha cleavage. So this this bond which is between this R and this carbon, this is alpha bond. So this undergo alpha cleavage to produce these two radical fragments. So this is one way. Other way, it's this singlet excited state through inter-system conversion. It is converted into triplet state. I will explain it later on. This singlet and triplet state. Through inter-system conversion, they are converted into triplet state, as we have discussed already in the Jabotinsky diagram, the singlet and triplet states. So these same as the singlet excited state, similar to this triplet excited state, they undergo this alpha cleavage and produces two radical fragments. So this is the basic of the Norris type 1 reaction. So after producing, now if we take another example, more generalized way, we take this ketone. So ketone undergo, this is the alpha bond, which is the for this between this and this carbon. This next bond is beta bond. So this is alpha carbon here. These two carbons are alpha carbon on this carbonyl compound, and this one carbon is beta carbon, and the hydrogen which is attached to this carbon is also beta. So they, as we discussed earlier, Norris type 1 reaction, they undergo this alpha cleavage in the presence of this when they absorb this quantum or photon of light. So they produce two radical fragments through this, the cleavage of this alpha bond. There are radical here and this radical here. So now there are different possibilities. There are these two radical fragments. If they lose this acyl radical, if it loses carbon monoxide, this carbon monoxide is called decarbonylation. So if it loses carbon monoxide, then it produces this. If you leave this bond, one radical is shifted here to produce this carbon monoxide, and one radical is shifted here. So we get these two fragments. These two fragments combine with each other to form this alkane. So this is through decarbonylation product. Second way, if alpha proton, this is the alpha carbon, if alpha proton is abstracted, then it forms this cation, and then this cation and this when this bond, this alpha cleavage, this carbon is alpha, this bond is cleaved. So one electron is here which form this double bond to form this cation, and this hydrogen radical then combine with this fragment to produce this alkane. This is the other way. So if beta hydrogen is abstracted, this is the beta. If we write here beta hydrogen, if this one is undergo the cleavage, then it produces this alkene. If we cleave this one, then this is the two radical it produces. These two radicals then combine to form this alkene, and this hydrogen radical combine with this acyl radical to form the aldehyde. This is the third way that after the alpha cleavage, that how the three different you can see products are formed. So first is the D, when carbon monoxide is released. Second one is that when alpha proton, here it's subtracted, it forms the cation, and then this hydrogen radical combine with this fragment to produce the alkene. So third way is that if beta hydrogen, this carbon is the beta, as we discussed earlier, that this is alpha bond, this carbon is alpha carbon, this one is beta, this hydrogen is abstracted, then it produces this alkene fragment, and plus this acyl radical combined with this hydrogen radical to form this aldehyde. So these are the three ways that how the products are formed after alpha cleavage in Norris type 1 reaction. So as we have discussed earlier, that how singlet this transition, if you see the structure of the carbonyl compounds, you can see the carbonyl compounds has this lone pair as well as this pi bond. So lone pair and pi bond. So this pi bond, so I will draw this orbital diagram that how these electrons are excited. So in organic compound, if you see the molecular orbital diagram, this is sigma, these are the bonding molecular orbitals, this is non-bonding, these two pi star and sigma star are anti-bonding. So in organic compound, this sigma to sigma star transition requires highest energy. Then it's if we see energy wise, it's energy is increases in this direction. So sigma to sigma star, this requires the highest energy, and n to pi star requires the least energy. This one n to sigma star, and then this pi to pi star. So this is the order, energy wise order of these transitions. So if you see the carbonyl compound, it has lone pair and this pi bond. So two types of transition will occur. One is n to pi star, and then this one is pi to pi star. So if you see this one, we draw here this is pi, 2 electron here, non-bonding, and then pi star. So electron, when light fall on this, it absorbs the photon, and then this one of the electron is shifted from this non-bonding to pi star. This is n to pi star. So this if you draw this one S0, S1, S2, so this one is this much energy. So n to pi star is like ground state, S0 to S1. So yeah, this energy gap is between, if you see this much energy gap, so this is the n to pi star transition. So you can one electron is shifted from this one, is shifted, jump to here. So without, if you see if you see this direction of the electron remains same. One is clockwise, other is anti-clockwise. So those direction is same. So this is the other one. If we give more energy, then this is shifted from this one pi to pi star. If we give more energy, so these two electrons remain as such like this, but this one is shifted from this. This is more energy gap. So pi to pi stars require more energy. This is the transition from S singlet 0 or ground state to, because this is more energy gap, to second excited state, singlet excited state. So electron spin again remains same. So you see this one is clockwise and this one anti-clockwise. So singlet state, the electron spin remains same, which jumps from here to this stretch, this one. So if this one, if this energy is from S1, it's if electron comes to the ground state and then it releases the energy, then this phenomena is called, we called it fluorescence. So this one is fluorescence. I will explain the other one, what is phosphorescence. So this is how this is the singlet ground state, S0, S1 and S2. So if this electron, when absorb photon, it is excited to S1. This electron is excited to S1 without change in the spin. So electron is excited to this one, and then if electron is, this is called, if this electron is transferred to this, because triplet, if you see, in the singlet state the electrons are paired, but in the case of the triplet state the electrons are unpaired. So triplet state is always at lower energy as compared to singlet, because in this case when the electrons are paired in the orbital they have maximum repulsion. So when they, in this case the repulsions between the electron is minimum, when, because they occupy different orbitals in the case of triplet. So this is intersystem crossing. This electron is then intersystem crossing, it comes in the triplet state with the change in the spin. Now the spin is here, like now it comes like this. So what we defined is, what is the fluorescence if this electron is excited to S1, if it is relaxes to S0 and it's emit the this energy, this is called fluorescence. But when, if electron is excited from here, but if this electron is through intersystem conversion, it comes in this first triplet excited state T1 with the change in the spin, and then it relaxes. So this is, if from T1 it relaxes to this singlet state, ground state, and then with the emission of the light, this is called phosphorescence. So these are the two phenomena which is explained here. So as we are discussing about Norris type 1 reaction, so in Norris type 1 reaction, alpha cleavage of carbonyl compound. So this is alpha cleavage of carbonyl compound, aldehyde or ketone. So more favorable in vapor phase. So in vapor phase, decarbonylation will occur. Decarbonylation is the loss of carbon monoxide. So another term which is used is decarboxylation. It is loss of carbon dioxide, but in this case it is decarbonylation, loss of carbon monoxide. So we take this example. This is a symmetrical ketone. It is a cyclohexanone. Because it's why symmetrical? Because both sides are equal. This is alpha bond. So in Norris type 1 reaction there is alpha cleavage. This is beta bond, this is gamma. Same on this side. So when it is absorbed the radiation, its alpha cleavage occur here, and it produces two diradical here. So this diradical, this beta hydrogen is lost through homolytic cleavage. This hydrogen radical combine with here to form this aldehyde, and this radical and this radical is make a new covalent bond to form this alkene. So this product is formed. So this is the first case. Now second case, if we use the substituted carbonyl compound like this one, now you can see there is a methyl. So cleavage on that side will occur, that alpha bond will broken which has more substitution. So this bond will be broken. Why this is broken? Because the radical which is generated here, this diradical is generated. So this radical is secondary. That is why the alpha cleavage is occur on that side where the more substitution is present. So this secondary radical is more stable, because order of stability of the radical is that tertiary radical is more stable, then secondary, then primary, and this methyl is the least stable radical. So after that this cleavage and this is decarbonylation occur, and then this diradical combine to form this alkane. So this is why decarbonylation did not occur in this symmetrical one, because if both the alpha bonds undergo homolytic cleavage, we get this diradical. This diradical, if you see both these diradicals, they are primary. So primary radicals, they are less stable. So that is why no decarbonylation. Both radicals are primary. So that is the explanation. So this is another example of Norris type 1 reaction. Here we take the substituted cyclohexanone where this both the carbon here they are substituted with two phenyls here. Now alpha cleavage if occurs, we form this in the if it absorbs the light, and then if beta hydrogen is eliminated through homolytic cleavage, and then this make the aldehyde and this double bond, this radical and this radical combine to form an alkene here. This is favorable, but the other route, decarbonylation, is more favorable. Why it is more favorable? If both the alpha bond, this is alpha bond, undergo homolytic cleavage, we form this diradical with the loss of carbon monoxide. So this diradical is tertiary. So this tertiary radical is more stable, and further this radical can be stabilized through resonance. It can go inside this phenyl groups which are attached. So these then combine to form, give this cyclic alkane, cyclic ring. So this route is more favorable as compared to this one. So let's discuss some more example of Norris type 1 reaction. Here this is another carbonyl compound which undergoes alpha cleavage with the loss of decarbonylation, the loss of carbon monoxide. It forms these two, this benzyl radical and this another one. So these both the radicals are stable because benzyl radical through resonance it stabilizes, and this these two radicals combine to form this compound. So this is a second example. Here again this is 5-membered carbonyl compound. When it's absorbed radiation with the loss of carbon monoxide, it forms this diradical species. If this diradical combine, it's formed this 4-membered ring. So if these 4-membered rings, as you know, are highly strained. So this is unlikely the product. Instead of this diradical, this bond undergo the cleavage. So this is alpha cleavage on both sides, loss of carbon monoxide, and then this diradical, this bond is cleaved to make the 2 moles of this alkene. So this is instead of forming this strained 4-membered ring. So this is more favorable here. So this is another example. This is very important. So this example here again we use the gas phase, and then in the presence of light, when it's absorb the light, this undergo alpha cleavage on both ends, and with the loss of carbon monoxide and decarbonylation, and this diradical is produced. This diradical is then combined to form this cyclic product. So in the gas phase, the decarbonylation is more favorable, but when you here the condition is when it is liquid phase, and then this light, when this molecule absorb the light, this ketone, this undergo alpha cleavage here, then this beta hydrogen abstracted. So this beta hydrogen, when it is abstracted, it form this here aldehyde, this hydrogen radical and this radical combine to form here aldehyde, and this radical form this alkene. So this when in liquid phase, so this there is no decarbonylation. Instead it's beta hydrogen which is abstracted and form this product. So in the liquid phase, only when there is tertiary radicals on both sides, are allylic radicals or benzylic free radicals on both sides, then it's in liquid phase, then decarbonylation is favorable. Otherwise this product will be formed. So if you see the benzylic radical, this is the structure of benzylic radical. Benzylic radical is stable through resonance. So if you see this radical, this electron moves here, this electron moves here, form here double bond, and this electron shifted here to form this. Again these are the resonance form of this benzylic radical. Again this radical, if this shifted here, and then this electron, one electron shifted here to form the double bond here, and then this electron shifted here to this give another resonance form of the benzylic radical. So if we repeat it here, this radical shifted here, and then this radical shifted here, and then this one electron shift like this. So this these are the resonance form of the benzylic radical. This is a allylic radical. They have this is the resonance form of the allylic radical. So they are very stable and tertiary radicals. So in liquid phase they favor stable radicals. They favor in liquid phase the decarbonization. Otherwise decarbonization is not favored.